Welcome, welcome. Today we have Tim Hall. Tim has been through and endured a whole lot. I'm just going to give you a little background. He was taken from his mother's arms at birth. He was forced to be given up at adoption at 6 months. He has went through abuse from parents, teachers, church, and the fear of abandonment and protection his framework of people pleasing. This was led and he was taken advantage of by sexual abuse, which caused low self esteem. Later in life, Tim became angry. Before reaching his age, he found hope in Zen. But through that, he suffered from physical illness, pain, and financial insecurities for years and years. So, we are going to chat with Tim today about the traumas that he's been through. He's going to share some life experiences and he's ready to share with the world. So I'm going to introduce Tim to tell us a little bit about himself. And then, as you know, Sid's going to kick that question off. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Demetria. Wow, thank you so much. I just saw my whole life flash before my eyes when you were talking about what I had gone through. And yeah, just a little bit about I'm a financial advisor here in the greater Philadelphia area. And I'm just so grateful to be here on this show and to share a little bit about the struggle of what I went through, some of what so many of us go through, and maybe connect in a way that can help people feel a little bit more free to be authentically who they are. um, like you had mentioned, I've dealt with insecurity. Now I'm dealing through a process of self-acceptance, and it's a beautiful loving journey. So thank you so much for having me today.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being on. It's not always easy to get it all out. We let everyone know what you've been through. Expose yourself, if you will. But where do you want to begin? What is your earliest kind of memory of, trauma? What kind of sparked everything off?
You know, what sparked it off for me was the fact that I had been leaving all of the trauma as a blank, uh, dark spot in my brain. I wasn't able to access most of it throughout my childhood, throughout my college years. It wasn't until mid 20s that I attended a retreat that had me do some meditation that brought up some amazingly ugly things from within me. I couldn't believe the voice that was in my head. It was saying things to me that I wouldn't ever speak to my worst enemies. I was in tears as my inner voice was berating myself with just how worthless I was, and what a loser, and how I can't get anything right, and I should die. I should not be on this planet any longer because I'm a waste of space. And I was like, whoa, I thought I was a pretty nice guy, but how can a nice guy have a voice in him who is speaking to himself this way. And it had me really start a journey of, if I'm saying this to myself, in what ways am I judging other people? In what ways do I feel like they're also, you know, not living up to my standards the same way I wasn't living up to my own? Um, so that was it. That was the beginning of the journey. It was ugly. It was a recognition that something was seriously wrong inside me.
Now, from your childhood, what have you been through, or what life experiences have you had that, kind of, I guess, formulated you up until that point, that you kind of saw these things and heard these voices, and I'm sure it started then, and it's kind of a snowball effect. So in childhood, what exactly did you go through to get you up until that point on your retreat?
Sure. Well, before I could remember, my mother tried her best until the very last moment to make sure not to give me up. She was going to figure out a way that I wouldn't be grabbed out of her hands. And she even broke some of the rules. You're not supposed to go into that room and hold your baby if that baby is supposed to be put up for adoption. But she went in and she was holding me, and I got taken away from her as she was screaming and crying. And I'm sure I felt that separation. So going into my adoptive family, who was a very loving, nurturing family, uh, I went in fearing that at any moment I could be taken away. And this was more of a recognition of looking back, like, wow, so that's why I've always been so eager to please. That's why I followed every single rule of the church. In fact, to the point where I thought, hey, I am so following these rules that I'm pretty much getting an A as far as religion goes. So, I definitely got my place in heaven. I'm definitely, doing everything that needs to be done, as if I could somehow work my way into God's own approval, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yes. Now, excuse me, pardon me. Um, what what do you think was your turning point, as far as your experiences? Well, I know you did say the retreat, and what kind of retreat was that? That sounds like a peyote trip or something. What would they give y'all out there?
Well, it was interesting. My wife had a dream, um, and in her dream, I was on a mountaintop painting with Buddhist monks. So she woke up from this dream and she Googled mountain Buddhist monks painting, and boom, this retreat popped up. It was only about 2.5 hour drive away, for a mountaintop experience at a Zen monastery, um, where there would be an instructor teaching painting. Anyway, being up there opened up my eyes to that ugly voice that was going on in my head. And after that experience, helped me look back on the experiences of my life and recognize that, wow, I completely forgot. I had completely blocked out the fact that I was sexually abused. And probably because I felt like I was partially responsible for it, because I was asking for anything I could do to gain approval from anyone in my family and in my community. I wanted approval so badly, I was willing to subject myself. And and that was a year of looking back at my life and see how was my fear of abandonment playing out why was I always getting taken advantage of and allowing it to happen? And why was I uh, why was I always following the rules and getting mad when other people weren't? Uh, and why did I let myself do things that were outside of my comfort zone just so I could be liked?
So I would like to chime in really quick. How old were you when you first were sexually abused, and did you keep the abuse a secret? Was it a supposed? I know you were adopted, so was it an adopted family member, someone you trusted?
Yeah, it was an adopted older brother, and um, it's definitely someone I trusted and respected, and I kept it a complete secret. In fact, I had completely forgotten that it happened, as if it was just another day of playtime, until looking back and recognizing, well, there it is again. One more example of how broken I was and how fearful I was, and just needing to feel accepted and doing anything I could to feel like I would be loved.
Did he make you feel accepted and loved? I'm
Well,
asking because I want to bring awareness to this, because there's a lot of folks that are silent, especially males, and they go through these feelings, and they keep the secrets because they don't want anyone to know. It's their ego, their pride. They don't want anyone to know that they've been violated. So just to bring awareness like this, it isn't love, it isn't affection, and it's someone that loves you that much. I mean, wouldn't do something in
exactly.
this manner.
You're absolutely right. So it it was actually I was always trying to get attention from him, and most of the time I wasn't, or very often it was negative. He was 5 years older than me. He had his own set of friends, and he didn't want to deal with his 5 year younger brother, running around. Um, but then when I got his attention, and he was actually paying attention to me, I wanted more of that, and it definitely isn't love. It was simply a desire to be included and accepted, so that I would not be abandoned.
That's
Um,
deep.
How did I guess how did he kind of introduce the idea enough for you to, I wouldn't say feel comfortable, but just to normalize it and make it seem like it, just it's something, it was something you could do to make him happy.
And
Yes.
what's Sid's question? How old were you
Oh,
to
I was
piggyback off her with her?
about about 6 years old, and it was playtime in the dark closet. Let's play a little game, and yeah, and hey, when do we get to play that game again? Because I was getting attention.
Wow. Wow. So I assume that your adoptive parents were pretty, like, sharing the fact that you were adopted. It wasn't like a secret or anything.
That is correct. Yes,
Okay. And were you adopted as the infant, or when you were a little bit older?
as an infant, right from birth.
Did they ever tell you why they made the choice? Since they had adopted you so young, to let that you were adopted.
Why did they make the choice to let me know I was adopted? I remember the conversation that I had, and these parents were well, they were not given to lying. So I asked a very direct question to which they needed to provide a very direct answer. I said, "So, mommy, I must have come from there." and, and she said, "No, I'm like, there? No. There? No. No. Let me tell you where you came from.
It's
So,
interesting because most parents that adopt kids sometimes they don't even know that they're adopted. Like they accepted them, they accept them. So yeah, that's
Yeah. So that kind of honesty is something that I've cherished. And, and, you know, I am that honest. I strive to be that honest with my family and my daughter.
so once you, I guess, were out of the house, in your maybe teen, early adult years, how did that all play a part? What was your first kind of real relationship like? Was your, will to people please a huge factor, moving on as a young adult?
Well, sure, sure. Most of my relationships at that time were about satisfying that part of my ego that felt like I needed to be included and accepted by someone. And it was very difficult to not be with a partner. For instance, if I broke up with one, I was immediately on the lookout for the next. And and most of the time those relationships were were good. I wasn't an abusive person, and I was very kind, and I was always trying to get into people's good graces through my overly kind, sort of extremely humble, ultra friendly ways. It really appealed to most of my girlfriend's parents.
Now, have you ran into any, women that took advantage of that fact? Your kind of your niceness and willing to do, everything they like, everything they need.
Oh, there was some of that. Sure, sure. But most of the time it was just, I think they could sense there was something incomplete. So they were ready to move on. And
mm,
I didn't know how I could be without them. So I felt more incomplete as people would move on from my life. And so yes, that's how that played out. I was the super friendly guy, but no girls liked the friendly guys. I was a I was a victim even then, or living in a victim mentality and blaming the fact that, girls like the bad guys instead
mhm.
of looking at, well, why am I the way I am? And what is what's this dynamic, and what can I do to be more authentic and more real and more of myself?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of times when we go through those kind of traumas, we're looking for a reason to validate our love. We want to be loved so bad, so we end up in a lot of different relationships. And I understand that because I was the same way, looking for love. But everyone needs to hear this, that when you're hurt and you're traumatized, you're trying to fill a void, and that is that continuous, you're looking for love, but in the process you're abusing yourself. And I just want to ask, like, even now with your wife, with the traumas that you have been through, has did that ever cause any issues in the marriage? Just because I know sometimes trying to understand someone that's going through traumas, it could be difficult on the other person.
Well, like I mentioned, it was my wife's fault that I went up to that Zen mountain monastery. So when I came back from that and spent the next year examining my life, a lot of things changed. and, and we were able to see a lot of the dynamics of my victim mentality and my willingness to do everything I possibly could to make everybody happy, up to that point. And wow, then some things started happening that were both freeing and extremely scary. just to start walking in my power and recognize how much power I was giving away all the time. I didn't know what that phrase meant, but it was pointed out to me, "Hey, Tim, you just gave away your power. What does that mean? Tell me exactly what that means because I want to know how not to do that." Like, what that means is that wasn't in your best interest except out of fear. And if you didn't feel the fear of needing that person's approval, then you probably could have helped them out without um, without hurting yourself.
Well, tell your wife thank you, and we commend her for sticking beside you and helping you through your difficulties. It takes a strong person to do that. It's easy to walk away. Most people will walk away. But I always tell folks, when you're in a relationship, let someone know what they did to you before they leave so they can try to change or, work on those behaviors, because a lot of folks leave and they don't tell you why they left. It's like they avoid.
Mm.
Very much so. Very much so. Now, after your Zen retreat, um, what steps and what measures, or what are the first kind of steps and measures did you take, to making a turnaround?
Well, I started looking for materials that would substantiate um, this new understanding of who I could be. And I started looking for materials that would make sense of this demonic presence within me that was that was saying such nastiness, um, and constantly berating me. So with a little bit of research and a book called The Self-Acceptance Project, and maybe a little bit of uh, Eckhart Tolle, I was able to start to recognize that the voice that was in my head wasn't me. And so I started to pay attention to the voice, and there were many of them, and I was able to categorize them, and I was having fun, but it was also such an excruciating process because there were voices in me like the inner teenager that would blow up at my wife if she tried to help me out with something. And she's trying to give me a little bit of advice about something that could be really, really beneficial for me. And I would be like, well, then why don't I just do that? I'll just go, you could just, like, oh, wait, I don't know what just came over me, but I need to chase this voice for a moment. Hold on a second. And I would go inside and it would become like a race. I could feel the voice like, oh no, I've been caught. And it would like try to hide. And I'm like, I know you're somewhere. And I want to know why you acted that way. So there was a lot of that kind of uh, introspection. And a part of that was also recognizing that if I would never, ever get praised for doing something, would I still do A, B, C, D, and E? And that almost ruined me
Hmm.
because everything I did was in some way to garner praise and to be liked and to be accepted. And now I'm like, I'm a good guitar player, but the only reason I practice is to get better so that I can look good. I'm a good this, I'm a good that. But would I do any of it if it would never get noticed or appreciated or applauded?
That's why you have to do it for yourself. It has to be about how it makes you feel. not about how it makes others feel. So it's about self. So I want to go back. A really quick question. So we know that we have these anger issues within all the relationships. You going through the relationships, was it I'm a pleaser, but in certain situations you would get angry and blow up? Maybe that was the cost of going through different relationships. So now you have addressed it. Do you look back and say, I mean, once you tell us if you had that I'm a pleaser, but then you would get angry, because I know sometimes folks can't. They're like, which way is it?
Oh, right. So the people pleaser personality, I'm sure you're familiar with this dynamic. They they follow the rules to make people happy, but inside they're angry that they have to. So so it's like having the instructor in the passenger seat, and you're learning how to drive, and you know what the rules are. Full stop at the stop sign. You make your full stop, but you keep seeing that everybody else rolls through the stop signs. Why the heck do I have to keep making full stops when everybody else gets to roll through? And that's just a metaphor for the way life felt, that everybody else got to roll through, but I got to follow these damn rules all the time.
Yes, I agree. And I just like to point out the fact that when you speak in reference to your negative thoughts and feelings and voices that you heard, um, that is not like you just somehow figured out how to get rid of them. It's almost like you work in harmony with them. You're able to kind of talk them down, um, almost kind of like like venom in a way. Um, it kind of it works. So it's just more of a like a realistic approach. Rather than thinking that you're gonna make a complete 180 with everything that you've been through. But you just kind of work in harmony with those dark forces to understand how and why to make the correct choices. So I like that approach. I like that a lot.
Mm, thank you, Sid. That's that's a really good point. But I do want to mention that there was a a 180 type of a feeling at one point. And it was that moment when I recognized that right now I have everything that I need. That right now, sitting here and talking with both of you, life is, in its own way, absolutely perfect and beautiful. And I can appreciate it so much. And and that could be now, or that could be by myself on a mountaintop. That could be with a group of friends, or it could even be when things aren't going entirely right. And and chaos is around me. The chaos, the anger, the frustration is all because of what might happen or what has happened. What is right now is an eternal presence within me that senses that nothing can touch that, and and I'm okay.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
I
wise
have,
word.
yeah. I want to know, have you ever met your biological parents? Have did your adopted parents let you know who your biological parents were?
Wow, I'm so glad you brought that up. My biological parents never let me know. However, New Jersey just released records and allowed for me to find out who my adopted parents are. So plus I did a search using Ancestry. That was a fun birthday present, by the way. My wife came up to me with a Q-tip, "Happy birthday," and stuck it in my mouth. Like, oh, great. And that was 3 years before New Jersey opened up their records. So we got the results back, and it turned out that, well, I had always thought that I might be Portuguese, or who knows what. I didn't want to be put in a box because part of not knowing meant I could be a little bit of everything and just embrace everybody. Um, but it came back that I was like half French. So like French. So my brother-in-law bought me a French flag and a beret. And we had a good time just celebrating my Frenchness. Um, yeah.
Were you able to connect with any family members up from the ancestry?
Yes. So that's a whole long story. Really awesome story where I found, actually my wife did all the sleuthing, and it's amazing what you can find out if you connect with people who know people who know people through Facebook. You get to a certain area, and you look within 20 miles of that area, and you find people that look a little bit like your husband or the pictures of you when he was a kid. And seriously, that's what she did to find out who my mom was. It was crazy. Like, I saw a black and white photo, and it had a picture of a little girl that looked like the girl version of me when I was a kid. I'm like, well, that must be my sister. Well, it turned out that that was actually my mother. It's just an older photo. And
And you never spoke with her.
not the point. And a different set of circumstances brought me to my dad. I got his mobile number, and we started texting. He's like, "Yep, you're my son," and we figured out a way to connect. And at the same time that I went to go meet him, my mom was tentative about meeting me, and my half brother was very protective and wanted to make sure that I wasn't in this to try to gain something. I appreciate him for doing that because you have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was with my dad at a pool tournament, and my mom comes walking through the pool tables and comes right up to me and gives me a hug. And there isn't a dry eye in the entire bar. And we, like, I'm meeting my aunt, and I'm meeting my brothers and sisters and cousins, and I'm holding the person who gave birth to me as a 47-year-old. It was miraculous, and they accepted me back into their lives fully as their son. And they're not together, they're not married, they're married to different people, but I go up there for different occasions, and I'm going up there after Thanksgiving.
That's beautiful. Do they know
That
do they know the
is
traumas?
wonderful.
Yeah, do they know the traumas
Oh,
that you have been through?
we've shared all of each other's traumas. That's how I heard about the way I was taken from her at the adoption agency. When I heard that, it it brought so much understanding into my life at that moment, that that just what she had to go through in order for me to be alive and to be able to witness all this amazing life. Um, the pain that she had to go through. And she gave birth to me on her entire birthday, and I got born the day after her birthday.
What day is that?
December 27th, 1973.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
That's deep. That is wow. Wow. So you literally was snatched out of your mom's arms.
Yes, because of her parents. Her parents were very strict religious. They had to send her from Schenectady, New York, down to New Jersey to take care of the problem for a little while until she can come back to rejoin the family. And she said, and I got to meet my grandmother as well, who had only the best intentions for me. Um, and it scarred my mom, but my grandma knew that my mom was in the process of being a 17-year-old, of sneaking out of her house in the middle of the night, of doing things that wouldn't be conducive to raising a family. I'm not saying she did the right thing, but those were the choices she made. And I respect her for it and love her for it. She passed away last year. But I'm glad that I had the chance to meet my grandmother, and she got the chance to see life come back into her daughter's eyes when I came back into her life.
I love the fact that I like the approach you take in kind of everybody's role and everything. Because me personally, like, I'm not a negative person, but I definitely see the other side of things. So, um, did you ever, before you found your Zen, where was your kind of thought process behind it? Was it, at one point, was it not just, your grandmother wanted what was best for you? She knew, what her daughter could and couldn't do, or, being as though they were religious, were they saving face, in the community? So, where was your mind before, you kind of found peace and solace with everything and everyone?
I'm glad you asked that. And I'm just really, really glad that I had already found my Zen prior to meeting my biological family. So I was able to go in there with no expectations, no, you should be this way or be sorry or upset, just to walk in and to be who I am. Yes, yes. Um, there's something that we talked about, Demetria, before we started this recording, about how hurt people, and that made me think that healed people heal people. And I felt like I was a healing presence for my mom, for my grandma. There was family coming back together, and they were healing for me. I was accepted in a way that was so unconditional. I had never felt that kind of unconditional acceptance before in my life. So suddenly, I didn't need to search for it anymore.
You're a very positive person. You don't see a lot of folks handle things like you. Most folks hold on to things like that, and when they connect, it becomes more of a resentment. So I definitely like your approach on a lot of things. You're truly going to be blessed for that because forgiveness is important, and you definitely have taken those steps to forgive, and it takes a big, big person to forgive, and all the traumas that you have been through, and to still say that I forgive, it speaks volumes about yourself. So it's not actually that you're a people pleaser, it's just that you have been anointed in life to be different and to take those situations that you have been through to make it a positive. So I commend you for that. We're going to go to a
Demetria,
really
I just want to say that the reason you see that is because it's in you. And part of what we talk about in Zen is namaste, the God in me sees the
Mhm.
God in you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a gift for all of us that are here, me, you, and Sid, to, give back and try to, spread this message. A lot of folks are hesitant. And that's what we want to know. Don't be hesitant. Don't run from this. Don't avoid your past. We're really trying to share life experiences to help others going through similar situations. So as much as you try to avoid it, as much as we try to block things out, they will return. resurface. It could be any situation, and it could trigger something. So folks need to know that as much as we try to suppress things, things resurface, and it will affect us every day until we address those issues. I'm going to go to a really quick 30-second break, and then we're going to come right back. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for those that are still here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have a really quick question that I've been meaning. I don't want to go back. I just want to ask this really quick. You're adopted. Are you still in contact with your adopted family? And if so, were you ever given a chance to confront your adoptive brother for what he did to you? And then also, did he ever harm his other brother? Um,
So I am in contact with my adopted family, and uh, and I have great conversations with my mom. My dad has a little bit of memory loss at this time in his life. My brother, we are not close. However, I have gone through uh, I've gone through forgiveness and understanding that if what I'm carrying from what happened has affected me in these ways for so long, imagine what he must be carrying as well. And I'm not saying, oh, poor him for having to carry that. I'm saying we all have to carry something. And how we use it and how we carry it going forward really does matter.
I agree. It almost makes you wonder if something happened to him, because for him to be that age, so young, to display those actions, it almost makes you wonder. We don't want to make assumptions, but for him to know those things, if you're 6 and he's 11, that is not normal at all. So,
And he doesn't
Absolutely.
have another brother that I'm aware of.
but it doesn't have to be a brother. Molestation does not come from just it's a brother. Molestation comes from people in the community. It comes from family members. It comes from, I mean, close ones to the family. We've had folks on here where it's been the neighbor's child. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from a brother. So yeah.
Well, I apologize if you can hear some of the screaming in the background.
Oh,
I think
you're
my family's
fine.
having a little bit of fun.
Look, this is unfiltered, unspoken, so it's unfiltered.
Right.
It's
Life.
okay.
We're adults. We're adults. We are definitely adults. It's okay.
We should be having that kind of fun.
I
Woo!
know. I know. Now, what was kind of the build up, to your project, what you're doing here on Facebook, what were the steps to I guess understanding that was your calling and that's what you want to move into doing?
Oh, I'm really grateful for a friend who started doing this same sort of thing. Had a page on Facebook, and she started to just share her thoughts, and they were beautiful thoughts, very raw, very authentic. And then she would take some photography and attach it to her posts. Um, that page is called Light a Path in the Darkness, and she was lighting a path, and I was in a mode during that time in my life where I believed that I could manifest anything. So I believed that I could become uh, friends or acquaintances with this person. And it happened. That December, she was at my Christmas party, and we were sharing stories about miracles that were happening in our lives, amazing things that would happen just from the power of belief, and and the coincidences and beauty and awesomeness of every moment of our lives. So she said, "Tim, you are an amazing writer, and everything that you create is so passionate and so useful. Why don't you create your own page?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know. I just wasn't ever used to having my words or my thoughts heard, or at least that was the dynamic that I was creating by wanting to be heard so much, yet not being able to speak." So so I took a leap of faith, followed her lead, started a page, and it's been such a beautiful experience. Just I don't share anything. I'll go weeks without sharing on that page if I haven't received something authentically inspiring to me. So when it inspires me, that's when it gets shared. And some weeks there's more sharing than others.
I think just you alone is you're authentic. So it's so much to share because I mean you're a very authentic person. So I get it. Yeah.
I'm doing the bashful, oh gosh, gee thing. But thank you so much.
My pleasure. I have another really quick question. I want to go back. Sorry, Sid. I'm gonna go back really quick. Did your adopted parents ever confront their son about what they did to you? What he did to you?
They did not. I never brought it up to them. I left that a secret. I didn't want to hurt him in their eyes or them or create any feelings that they did something wrong through him. So so yes, that was and is something that remains unspoken.
Well, not really, because you're on unfiltered, unspoken. So if they ever see this, they're gonna hear
Wait,
it.
I thought this was unspoken. Hold on a second.
Unfiltered,
No, we
unspoken.
get the tea on here for sure. We get the first you heard him here first on this show a lot. So we always do appreciate the fact you are willing to share your truth because there are some things we haven't even faced yet ourselves, and when we're in the swing of things, it flows, and we just appreciate you being comfortable enough to drop some nuggets that you might still be battling with. We don't take that for granted, so thank you.
Thank you, Sid.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And that's my next question. Are you still going through the healing process? Like, do you feel as though that we'll never be fully healed? So we always have this conversation. We'll never be fully healed. But do you think that you have overcome, or is there a lot more that you need to overcome?
My joy in life now is finding the next thing to overcome. I find that you're right, we never stop healing and we never stop growing. But isn't that a beautiful way to live, to grow, instead of just to shrink in what problems we find ourselves in? I found myself getting upset at something last week and living a day of unconsciousness, a day of anger, frustration, and even a feeling of hopelessness and a weight on me. So that leads me to say, what do I need to discover within myself that's creating this? It could be as simple as a clock change or a phase of the moon, or I didn't, I'm not hydrated enough that day, or it could be a little bit more, something to uncover. As I grow, it's just exciting to grow more and more, and I'm very big in the whole self development type of uh, courses and books. I love that stuff. I want to I want to find my next level. What's my next level of Zen? What's my next level of fullness of life?
I love that. You're just a ray of sunshine. You really are. You really are. Um, and it's ironic because it's nasty outside. It's just you just have a very good vibe about yourself. And that is appreciative. It's a lot going on that may cause you not, to be your happiest self. So, to see somebody really genuinely just kind of at peace with everything, zen, if you will, that's amazing to watch. It honestly is. It kind of is like I aspire.
Thank you, sir. And that's exactly how I interpret Zen too. I don't interpret Zen as the religion Zen, which I'm sorry if I'm borrowing someone's religious terminology to just signify a sense of peace and well-being within myself. Zen Buddhism is a religion that includes a whole set of rules and beliefs that I'm not even aware of half of them. So the Zen that I talk about is the one that is really peace in my soul.
Absolutely. And
Powerful.
oh, you got a question, Demetria?
Nope, you can go ahead, Pooh.
Okay. Um, well, what are, some tips you can give the people here watching, to kind of center themselves in times of, stress, anxiety, um, pretty much how to walk in the spirit of Timothy Hall, at times where it's out of sight.
I want to I want to say, as far as a tip, there's so many things that people know about and don't actually really dig their heels in and just do. They know about focus and breathe and sit up straight, and do a little bit of meditating. They know about seeking a higher power and prayer and the universe and God. They know about religion. They know about um, the power of love. But what we the only thing I would recommend is find a way to go from knowing to doing. 'Cause when I actually sat down with myself for long enough to say that I am practicing this thing, I am going to start to meditate on a regular basis. Um, that is when I started to recognize my inner world. It started to show up, and it was an amazing thing to be able to feel what was happening inside me, and to see my demons and to wrestle with my emotions, and ultimately to look to a higher power for peace.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you, struggling with demons is hard because it's like you put your boxing gloves on and you tell them to go on about your business, or I'm gonna fight. You have to stand up to them, right? I'm gonna fight you. That's how it is. Because I mean, we're not talking about like no ebonic stuff. When we say demons, it's what we're wrestling with inside. So we call them demons. People, you could call it whatever. Our struggles, our depression. We're saying demons. But when you wrestle with your past. it can be a struggle, especially if you don't want to face them and you want to run from them. It's a I'm gonna follow you. Like when you hear the kids, they say they have this their little imaginary friend. Well, your traumas is imaginary bad friend. And that friend
Mhm.
will never go away until you tell him to leave you alone. You don't want them to exist anymore. And that starts the healing process and the journey to overcome a lot of things. And, I hope folks have really been listening to Tim and the things that he has been saying and his knowledge and his wisdom, because we all say things differently, it comes out differently, but just your demeanor and everything that you have been through, and the reason why I connect with you, because I'm the same way. I've always been a people pleaser. So I would go to work, I would chat with people. I always wanted to know, how you doing, how you feeling today? Just to think about how many people that would ask me the same question, how it would make me feel. I only reacted because how I wanted others to feel. But then we go home, we cry, we're in a depression, and we're still dealing with things, but we really don't understand what we're dealing with. And see, your Zen helped you understand what you were dealing with. And when I almost lost my life, it helped me after years, though, even after trying to commit suicide, attempted to commit suicide. I realized a lot of things that I was going through, but it started from childhood. And if you look at Tim, childhood. If you look at most of the folks that come on Unfiltered, Unspoken, it streams from the childhood. We have to go back so deep and far that we have to look at our childhood. I'm going to take a quick 30-second break again because I need to throw up Sid. She does help with insurance and she will get you a policy. It could be small, it could be large, whatever the criteria is. Sid can get you some insurance. So let me run that real quick and then we'll be back. I'm going to let Sid say her little closing statement and then I'll close it out.
All right. Now, I always like to use this, part of the show here while we're closing up everything. This is your shameless plug time, Mr. Tim. So, outside of your Facebook page that we have, on our nice scroll here at the bottom, what else are you working on? Where else can people contact you for, your Zen tips, your Zen theology, a Zen motivation? What? Plug yourself. This is where everybody to get to know you and how they can get in contact you and utilize your services and your expertise. So let us have it.
Okay, well, I have been debating as to whether or not to monetize this whole Days of Zen direction that I've been going on, and every year I think about this, even though I put some money away, and it's an investment to have a website and to to put a little couple dollars towards boosting a post on Facebook, and all I want to do is get a message out there. But I have never yet felt comfortable with asking for money, and I don't see really a a place to do that just yet. Not for the Days of Zen page. Come on to Days of Zen on Facebook and just be a part of the community. Enjoy the photography, connect with some of the writing, comment. That kind of thing fills my soul because it's my hobby. It's my passion that I'm doing on the side. And what I am also working on the side, you asked what I've got in progress now, is a memoir about that 1 year of transformation from the time I first went to the mountain to the time I went back to the mountain later that year. And what happened between all the trials, all the tests, all the inner workings, and then coming back out on the mountain top to uh, to close out that chapter of my life. I'm going to share that, and I expect to have that book completed by March of 2023.
That's excellent. That is so excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Now, y'all, no problem with, getting paid for your talents. Anybody that we have come on here, you know what I mean? They're trying to monetize what they're doing so that can help in a bigger volume. However, it's not often that we have people here like Tim who are literally just asking you to come and just be, not asking for anything from you. No intention other than, to motivate. So please go join his Facebook page. He is literally just asking you to come show up and, come grab the nuggets that he's throwing. Demetria, anything else from you?
Yes. So, Tim, please come into Unfiltered Unspoken and post your information in our page so that you can share with folks. And if you want to share your life experience, we do have a monthly highlight, and Sid is actually the writer and blogger for the Good Fight Unfiltered Unspoken. So, if you would like to share your monthly life experience, please email us, let us know, and we would definitely highlight you for a monthly experience. We that is a part of the Good. We have a lot of informative information, and we do like to share resources. So we welcome you to share your Zen information in the Good Fight page. And if you don't have that, I will send you the links once we finish. Um, we want to thank you for Tim, for you joining Unfiltered Unspoken. We want to thank everyone in. We are going to continue to share life experiences to help others going through similar situations. This is the gift. Everyone that comes on Unfiltered Unspoken is at a place that they're willing to share their life experience so that they can help others going through similar situations. So if you feel as though you're going through something so deep and you don't know where to connect, please come to the Good Fight. We just that is the public group. We just created a private group. It's called Unfiltered Unspoken Society of Survivors. That is for folks that want more of a private setting to share their life experiences. You are not judged. Both platforms are free spaces for you to release how you feel. And then just going away from what Tim said, Zen to him is peace in his soul. So Tim is finding peace in his soul that is Zen to him. So if you're trying to find peace in your soul and you want to try a new method, reach out to Tim for Zen tips or measures to get to where he is on his journey of Zen. And another thing that I found very important that Tim said is to find a way to go from knowing to don't find a way to do from knowing to doing, right? Correct. So find a way to come out to doing what you want to do. We're so stuck on staying back and not want to do it. Don't be fearful of life. Take those chances, take that leap of faith, start that journey to heal. You have walked around too long holding on to your traumas. It is time to release so that you can enjoy life. And we want to thank you for tuning in again to Unfiltered Unspoken. We're going to share your life experience. So don't you hesitate. We're going to be right here for you.